Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We are glad to have you with us this evening to look at what is making news around our nation, Cameroon, Africa, and the world. We this day are going to be looking at increased violence attacks in the northwest regions, especially in Bui division, where we've seen the loss of lives of many separatist fighters and men in uniform military, and we are asking the question of how to get out of the current impasse. We also are very concerned about what we are receiving from Bonge subdivision, though not yet confirmed. It seems as if there were attacks there today, but we are asking why this upsurge. Is it a change in strategy? The fact that people are not too happy with the measures put forth by the government to put an end to the ongoing conflict, or the failure of the full implementation of the outcome of the major national dialogue that took place in Yaoundé, a major national dialogue that was placed under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister, Dr. Chief Tion Gute. We are going to be discussing this with panelists who are already in the house. Our consultant, Apostle Mb Valentine Gwa, is here with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians, and good evening, viewers of Prime Hour. Constant violence in the northwest and southwest problem is the talk of the day, and God will help us to dissect this topic effectively and profile practical solutions. And we pray the government will listen to us to engage these principles we're going to be giving today to help curb this crisis that has taken so many lives.
Okay.
I want to give thanks to God and to the Lord Jesus for the privilege given to me again to address Cameroonians.
We are also in the company of Dr. Michael Ndimancho. Good evening and welcome. He is a lecturer and a fervent member of the civil society. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Yo. It's a pleasure to be here once again and to be able to share, discuss, and to seek at least propose solutions to what may actually be the problem that is rocking us. And as I always say, the issue is flexibility. I think that to give for real change to come, we must be flexible enough to give and take. Because if we only think that it is our own point of view that is important, then we'll never get anywhere.
Okay, we are expecting Atia Hilarus, who is already around our studios. He's going to be joining us in less than 5 minutes time. I'll start with you, Apostle Mb Valentine Ngwa. Can we understand what is happening in the northwest and to a very limited extent the southwest region today?
Yes, Mr. Leo, I will begin by saying that there is no battle you underestimate your opponent. Because when you underestimate an opponent, it's sometimes you are taken aback. Once we heard the Minister of Territorial Administration say can boldly confirm that the Anglophone crisis has come to an end, it's often said that to retreat means to retire in order to refire. I am sure the separatists retired in order to refire because the results we are getting recently, they are not good at all. In the beginning of the crisis, as you see, the things are gradually progressing and getting worse. They began by taking machetes and Dane guns. From there, they moved to AK-47. Now they have better explosives. We don't know what holds the future as far as the crisis is concerned. Because of negligence and cosmetic parameters put in place, like solutions to solve this crisis, is instead getting worse. We are urging the government to look into this matter again a second time and see how to give a practical solution, because individuals are dying every day. Every military that dies counts, is our people. And every civilian that dies equally counts, they are our people. We will not sit here and try to play low or ignore the enormity and the gravity of what is happening in the north and the southwest. Recently in Kumbo, with around the corner place in Noni, Lassin in Noni, we saw how militaries were butchered and weapons were seized from the gendarme post in the hands of the separatists. We also see separatists being gunned down and killed, which is really painful. It is said in the Bible that the serpent you don't kill in Genesis will become a dragon in Revelation. The devil was called serpent in Genesis. By the time the book of Revelation came, we did not hear of serpent again. We heard about a dragon. It means the separatists are gradually turning into something stronger and very frustrating. So we are still calling upon the government to look into this matter and give a solution to this problem, so that we don't continue dancing this same Baya dance we have been dancing all throughout these years. This is 5 years running. We thought by now the young men would have been drained of finances, drained of soldiers, drained of resources or even weapons. But as the days go by, we are proving wrong. That's why I said once here that it's always important for us to always gravitate and observe closely as the revolution is taking place, because if you don't seem to understand that things are getting worse, we will still be thinking that things will get better while we are getting very out of context. So we are pleading for the government, who has the knife and the yam, to look into this matter and then bring an end to this crisis.
Now, Dr. Michael Ndimacho, how do we explain what is happening in the Southwest and Northwest regions today, especially the Northwest region, when many already thought that the conflict was moving towards the direction of an ending?
Let me get back to where we came from. When this crisis started, and all of us, we know, the lawyers and the teachers, actually, they came together, concerted, and they had a plan. And I mean, it was well structured. Their demands were structured. From there, some people decided to come in between. Those who didn't have any structure for whatever thing you were to do afterwards. I mean, you've seen failed organizations like the NCNC, the SCAPA, all those things that had failed in the past, that, I mean, they took an advantage to come in. They are not the only ones. We had now people who broke out of prisons, who came into the crisis. We have had people who, I mean, had hardened criminals and all other people who just took an advantage and came into the crisis. Now, it went on and on. Now, actually, those who were genuine about the crisis maybe have retreated. And we have realized that there are people who are hanging out to it because they know that if they retreat, they are not going to have any place in Cameroon. And that is why they are hanging on and on and on. But then there is an issue. We are accepting that some people had a genuine demand for what is going on. But we have realized that along the line, we have mismanaged the crisis. In every household, there is bound to be problems. But it depends now on how you handle the problem. You remember that when we started solving this problem with the Grand National Dialogue, I mean, in Yaoundé, we pretended to have concerted or have called these separatists for a dialogue in Yaoundé. I remember there is somebody like George Owane who said it openly and said 58 separatists were at the Grand National Dialogue. And when we looked, we didn't see them exactly. I don't know where they took them from, whether they were the leaders that he was talking about or what. The Minister of Communication came out from the Grand National Dialogue and said, this is the last kind of dialogue that Cameroon will ever have. He said it on a national television. And when we look at it and we realize that, I mean, that dialogue has not been able to produce the solution that we are talking about, we rather see that there's some provocation that has come after that. We know of the National Commission for Bilingualism and all that, which is a provocation, because the problem of Cameroonians, of Anglophones, is not solely the problem of language. I think that is a very, very minute problem that they are putting ahead of Cameroonians. I don't think that was actually... And then they came again with the issue of decentralization, and they think that it is a problem of Anglophone, which of course is still not the problem of Anglophones. Now, the real problem that has actually prolonged this crisis for so long is the fact that, the military, the Cameroon military, is fighting with boys who have no experience, with boys who have no, I mean, they do not have any structure for what they are doing. And then when you go and fight these boys, some of them who have smoked tramadol and they are just behaving the way they are behaving, and then when an Amber boy kills a security officer, and then in retaliation the security officer kills an Amber boy. Now when you look at these two, who actually should be judged? Is it the person who knows, who is professional and he knows the right thing to do, or the Amber boy? I'm not saying that actually the Amber boy has the right to kill a security officer, but I'm just talking about the way we managed the crisis, which was wrong. Secondly, now we see that we have had our neighbors. Our neighbors don't love us. Even though there was a kind of a show that Nigeria should before us by arresting the separate leaders in Nigeria and bringing it to Cameroon, I still think that a country like Nigeria is not doing us any good, because you realize that most of these arms that these boys are using are coming in from Nigeria. Now, to buy goods from Douala and take to Kumba and beyond, you realize that there is actually a problem on the way with the security. But those who buy goods from Nigeria to Cameroon, through Kumba or in Bamida, so they have very little problems in transporting these goods. Then just to let you know that actually in Nigeria we have a kind of a porous kind of a boundary with Nigeria, and whereby most of these guns are coming in from Nigeria, and we are asking that Nigeria should cooperate with us. Let our neighbors cooperate with us. We are looking at also countries like the CEMAC countries, where we have not had any condemnation from any, even from what they call the Peace Commission. Okay. So we think that all some of these things, quietness or silence, means that they are indirectly supporting what is going on.
Okay, good evening to you, Song Derek, who is watching us from Bonaberi. We hope you are enjoying your honeymoon with Madam. We expect that in 9 months' time we should come and celebrate the coming of Song Junior. Extend our greetings to Madam. Good evening to you, Mumu. Include Sam, and to you, Randy Clovis. Good evening to you, Peace Plant, and also to you, Don Sheriff, Jack Shiglu, our man who is always watching, and to you, Mark Amos, Andy, Lou Skelet. Good evening to you, Atia. Hilarious. Can we actually understand where we are today with the ongoing crisis? The things are moving in an amoebic form.
I think we are in the middle of nowhere. We find ourselves in a very tight corner where everything is deadlocked. Dialogue has failed, negotiations have failed, nobody's talking to the other, and we cannot come out of this impasse unless somebody is talking to the other. And I think that as at now, we ask the way out. The way out is for President Biya to take his responsibilities into his hands, because we have a head of state who is very much empowered by the constitution, but at the same time he's nowhere to be found in the heart of the issues that are at stake. Because we understand that Mr. Biya, when we look at Article 5 and Article 8 of the constitution, Mr. Biya has all the powers as head of state and president of the republic, but then he said to run the most centralized country in the world, because we are complaining today of the failure of decentralization because the system is centralized. But we cannot have somebody who runs a centralized system and at the same time does not take responsibility. At no point in time has something failed and President Biya comes out to say, okay, I failed, or my government has failed, and this is the direction we are taking. He stays in the background, and we cannot have a leader who stays in the background when constitutionally he should be the one on the forefront. So for now, we expect the head of state to come out and do what we expect the head of state to do, like the constitution says. Because if we are not talking to each other and nobody is taking concrete steps towards solving the problem, we'll continue to see the kind of scenarios that we see on a daily basis, like the ones we saw, I think on Tuesday, when videos flooded social media showing, I think I went sick because I asked myself, where are we heading to? The constitution says that the head of state shall be the guarantor of the internal and external security of the country. At this point, do we have internal security? Because there's no need for Cameroon to want to show that they are the strong man of CEMAC, that we have a crisis in the country. Instead of handling the crisis, we import new weapons and we are taking them to Central African Republic. What do we want to show? If your house is on fire and you are not there to see how you can rescue some items, and you rather think that you have to go and save the neighbor or help the neighbor quench their own fire, we don't need a good name. What would be the use of a good name when you will not have where to sleep? So I think we should look inwards. We should look inwards and see how we can address the issues of the day. How everybody can come on board and take responsibility, because it is not enough to be at the head. We also have to be able to assume the responsibilities when we fail, when things are not going right. That person who is the head of state, who is at the head of the affairs of the country, who has delegated his functions to the prime minister, to ministers and every other state official, the person who appoints to civil and military positions, the person who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the person who is a symbol of national unity, should be able to come at this point and ensure that there is actually national unity, because President Biya also is in charge, they say, through his oversight functions and through his efforts and how do I put it, through his arbitration, he shall ensure the smooth functioning of all state authorities. And at this point, things are not working. Territorial integrity is at stake, because there are some places in this country some of us cannot go to. So it means that we are not free to move to any part of the country. Like the constitution says that every Cameroonian shall be free to move about the country as they want, as long as they can show proof that they are Cameroonians. But at this point, we cannot. So it means that something is failing. Our constitution is not being respected, and it is the head of state who has to ensure the respect of the constitution and the laws of the land. So we expect him to come out and find a solution to this problem.
Okay, Rinda Clovis, good evening to you, and to you, Stefan Zakaria Ashum, good evening to you, and to you, Mula Ikema, and to all of you watching us on social media. Apostle Ambi Valentine Ngwa, can we also understand in what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest as a change of strategy?
Of course, in 1990, when Cameroon was to face Argentina, it was often said that in advance, people said that Argentina is going to defeat Cameroon maybe 6-0, 10-0. So Argentina came with the full confidence that they were going to defeat Cameroon, not knowing that Cameroon had gathered strength to face them. The problem we have today is the government believes with their sophisticated weapon they can just crush these guys. It's an asymmetrical war. It doesn't have a pattern of fighting it. You are not dealing with a nation directly opposite in front of you. You are dealing with people you don't even know where they are positioned. And the fact that these guys went solo at a particular time actually did not mean that they had accepted defeat or they were defeated. Sometimes they used to say it's good to retreat. When you retreat, you'll be empowered. There was a time that Elijah was pursued in the Bible by Jezebel. And as a prophet, he ran away. He ran away to go and re-energize himself. That is war. Sometimes it's not good to fight. But Mali says, he who fights and run away will live to fight again another day. These guys actually retreated for a while, and we thought this entire thing had come to a standstill or probably come to an end. But to our greatest dismay, the guys are coming back forcefully. There was a time they said they were doing war draft, and people said, oh, this is propaganda. But I think the military is too professional enough to have had informations before they are taken unaware, because the explosive these guys are using right now are actually causing damages in the both regions, Northwest and Southwest. This time around, it's not fake stories. We have videos published on social media where they will go right to the very den of the military, silence them, take their equipments and their war weapons and bring them back to their own camp, and they are chanting songs of victory. I think it's a clear sign that the government should start looking for a means to resolve this problem, because as the days are going by, the guys are becoming more experienced, they are becoming tactical, and the way they are going, I want to believe that in some years to come, if some external forces aid these guys, then we are into a very big mess. We're going to fight this war till, I remember the Sri Lanka war with the Tamil Tigers that lasted for 26 years. Those guys fought for 26 years before finally they surrendered. We are just 5 years into this war. There is a possibility for this war to be the next 30 years if something is not done. It's the same thing that happened in Sudan. The government thought it would just crush the people gradually, but it took a 30 years long war before Sudan finally separated. So I think Cameroon government should know very well that the fact that those guys are few in number does not mean they can easily crush them, because their efforts all these years to bring down those guys have been futile. And we are asking the government to take a peaceful measure to organize another dialogue, even if it's not separation. They should give, a certain level of autonomy to these two regions so that we can enjoy peace in this country again. Like Achia said, it's difficult for us to circulate. The constitution gives every Cameroonian right to circulate within the 10 regions of this country, provided you can identify yourself. But it's very, very impossible for people to circulate. Their individuals have not gone to their villages for years now. There are chiefs who are no longer in their kingdoms to rule. There are other notables in certain villages who can no longer enter into their villages anymore. And you know the pride of going back home as an African man. you know the honor and the dignity of going back home. There's a feeling of nostalgia when you stay out of your place for too long. There are individuals who have left this country, they're out of their country, they're unable to return to their motherland. That pain is there. There are some videos you see on Facebook, they will post something like this, our Tarakola, this palm wine we used to go and enjoy in the village, say we miss home sweet home. That feeling is there. Everybody has it deep within their hearts. So the government should know that this thing is causing physical, psychological, emotional, as well as cultural damages.
Yeah, but the killing Sabodwe, is and it's a population that is feeling the heat.
That's what I said. I said because I said it earlier now that any military that die counts, any civilian that die counts, and there are even people who are not even involved in the war. They are caught up in the crossfire. That's another challenge we have. So the problem we are talking here is to give practical solutions to solve this crisis once and for all. It has not helped. The measure the government has used so far was the military method. It has not worked. I remember the case of the UPC. When government was chasing UPC, it was a reconciliation as well as a military method. When they used the military method, they couldn't go to the reconciliation. That's the reason why after UPC was still existing in Cameroon, because why? There was an arm that believed in reconciliation. There was another arm that believed in the military approach. So if they keep using only military approach and iron fist to try to crack down people, and they're only getting better, nobody told the government, and the government never even imagined that these guys will resort to getting into IED explosives, which are already doing a lot of damages right now in the north and southwest. We should not pretend. The military, they are going down. Even those boys too, they are going down, and all those people are Cameroonians.
Okay, good evening to you, Ali Mikal, my brother watching us out there from the United States of America. Focha Valerie, good evening to you. Wesley Angoni Tiku, good evening to you too. Mark Makole, and to you, Zakaria Ashu, Etwe Gabriel Elung, good evening to you, and to you, Mark Emos Andy. Good evening to you, Ta Jacob, and to you, Peace Plant, son of State, good evening to you. Rita Ya, good evening to you. Okoli Francis Nakeli. You say the technicians should do something. Eli, I don't know who is in charge of the sound. We are receiving lots of complaints about the sound system. You guys should look into that. King Mbela, good evening to you. And to you, Don Sheriff, okay. Elvis Fomukon, good evening to you. Smith Bright, Dr. Michael Ndimancho. We are talking about the change of strategy. We also have to note that those that are sent to fight on both sides are young people. Those who are falling on the side of the military are youths, as well as the Ambazonian fighters. They are also youths. Is it not time also to reflect, because we say that the youth is the future of the nation? If we go destroying those who are supposed to carry the nation forward, are we not just doing harm to ourselves?
Yes, exactly, Leo. And I usually say that a single house burned down in this crisis produces an equivalent Amber fighter. You know that what has happened is most people have gotten into this fight, especially young people, because they were destituted. There are people who didn't know where to go to. Now, and it is a lesson, both, especially for the military. This brings us to the understanding why you see that the young military themselves, it appears as if they are beginning to have a rethink when they are being deployed to this zone. What happened in Lassen, in Noni, I received a message alert of the intelligence in Cameroon, whereby they knew that something was going to happen. And there's a message that they sent, that they knew that that General Nopiti was going to leave Bambalang, pass through Kombo, pass through Ngondrin, through Koflu, and then down to Lassen. There's a message to that effect. And I'm asking the question, why was something not done? We are beginning to think that people are running away, because I was disclosed to the young military officer, and he told me they who have gone to that zone, the kind of weapons that these guys are using, they who are the military do not even have an idea about that kind of weapon. That when they just hear the sound of the weapon that the guys are using, they themselves are afraid. So you now realize that there is some fear, even from the young military that are being deployed to those areas. And I'm saying that the issue of burning of houses, especially when something like this happened, like I'm giving an example of what happened in Lassen and Noni. Now, you realize that the military knows very well that the people who committed the act didn't come from that village. They came from outside. If the military goes down to that small village and begin to burn down houses, perhaps because they see that young people are living in this house, because they used to identify the house where young people live, and they burn down all those houses around. They are not solving the problem. Rather, they are creating more problems for Cameroon, because those very houses that they burn down, the boys who are living in those houses have no other choice. Most of them think that the best choice for them is to take up arms and follow those in the bushes. And for them, it's a way of retaliating. It's a way of revenging what the government or the military has done to them. So we think that it is out, we are losing on both sides. Be the military, who are, of course, very young people. We have heard people like the field marshal who boasted and said, why should the generals not come and meet me? Why are they sending small boys? I mean, the videos went viral. He was boasting and said that they're sending the young people to him, and he's killing the young people innocently because, according to the field marshal, the young people are not tactful enough to be able to fight him.
So that could also be propaganda, eh?
Well, propaganda and nothing. You can never take something for granted when it concerns war. I mean, in war situation, take everything seriously. So I think that it is high time, actually, that we, the Cameroon, the État-Major, begin to rethink and think and know that these young militaries who are going to the field, most of them just graduate. They graduate. Newly from school. And then they are deployed to those regions. And most of them are now going very reluctantly. You realize that at the post in Lassen, they say there were 2 who were not there because they had gone playing their life somewhere else. And that is why they came and made just the 4 and they finished with them. So you realize that most of them they have families and they are thinking about what is happening with them. So it is not just by being a military that you are proud to go to war and then you fight. You also think about the consequences on your family, and you think about what will happen. Because when you kill one military, it's not just that military are killing. There is the wife that you have left behind. There are children that have left behind. There is, the whole lot of people who are maybe depending on that military. So to say that it is a war to encourage, I think that we need to have a rethink, and then the military should re-strategize and see actually how better they can be able to help. Even in the villages where after this act are committed, they should be able to protect the young people who are living there. It is true that sometimes the military have their own strategy, that they must not just take people for granted. But I think that what we say professional, it means Cameroon has what we call the DDR. It's a rehabilitation center. And therefore, these boys in the bushes do not have any DDR. And it is a right of the Cameroon military to be able to capture young people and not kill them. I think that is what we mean by professional military. That you get to these people, capture them, bring them to the DDR. Maybe from them you get more information rather than killing them. When you kill them, you kill information. When you kill them, you prolong the war. When you kill them, you increase the problem of Cameroon. And therefore, I think they should be much more professional than what we think.
Greetings from Denmark. Love the program and the panelists, but I will call on the panelists to refer the answers and analysis to Cameroonians and not to Mr. Liu, because I hear the repetition of Mr. Liu like 5 times every time the panelist is talking. Yes, it's Mr. Liu who is asking the question, so we are discussing, please. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Ebai Clovis is writing from Dubai. You guys are also addressing me as Mr. Liu now. Why should they not talk to me? Good evening, sir. In the studio, the center is not holding. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I like your program. Mbong is writing from Bamenda. Yeah, you guys are also writing to me, Mr. Liu. No? Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm more for Elvis in Douala. The government don't want this war to end. Very soon, the anger of God will fall on this nation. Good evening to the guys in the studio. All of us are watching Dr. Agwe Mubele from District Hospital Kumba. The way out is for President Biya to engage in frank dialogue with both regions. Good evening, Mr. Liu and your panelists. I am keen listener. The program is in order. It is educative and worth inspiring. Duko Michael writing from Bamenda. Mola Ikema, writing from Paris, says, "Good evening, Mr. Liu. My regards to Apostle Ambe. How I wish we had people like you in the Biya regime. You spoke so well, Apostle. Thank you very much." Tilaris Atia, can we also relate the increased violence in the northwest, particularly, and also in the southwest regions, owing to the fact that we have seen not much being implemented as an outcome of the major national dialogue? Some people could be disillusioned.
Yes, I think what the government we have is one that does not communicate, and that's a problem that has put us where we are today. Because if we go back to 2016, nobody knows the resolutions that came out from the dialogue, the ad hoc committee dialogue that government had with teachers. Nobody knows exactly where, at what point they had hitches, at what point there was friction, and at what point there was need for the dialogue to stop. Nobody, Cameroonians don't understand, and Cameroon, the government of Cameroon has not been able to communicate plainly to put the cards on the table for Cameroonians to see and judge for themselves. At this point, nobody knows how the meeting with lawyers and the Minister of Justice or the Minister Delegate to the Minister of Justice ended. No one can tell for sure where, at what point they stopped, at what point there was a deadlock. The government is not communicating. Even in the special status, we've not seen government put up an aggressive communication policy to explain the details to Cameroonians, that this law existed, Article 62 of the Constitution existed in 1996. Why did we not have special status in 1996? Why are we having it now? There is need for communication. The Northwest and Southwest regions, they are regional councils, they are commissioners for everything except communication. In Nigeria, we have commissioners for communication who communicate on a daily basis. So at this point, the Cameroonian people don't know what is happening. We were told that there's a commission, a plan to reconstruct and develop the Northwest and Southwest regions. It's a 2-year plan. We are 1 year, 6 months into the plan, and nobody is seeing development anywhere. The Babaju Bamenda Highway is there. The Kondo Titi Kumba Road is there. The Kondo Titi Mundemba Road is there. Nobody is seeing anything happening to those projects. So you ask yourself, what are they developing? What are they rehabilitating? We must see progress. And if government is not communicating, then the people are fed up. I will imagine that at some point, some people are sympathizing to the other side. That, okay, there was a major national dialogue. How this far, since October 2019, what has changed? Government should communicate. Government should explain that these are the deadlines we had, that we were supposed to do this in 1 year. This is how far we have gone. We're supposed to do this in 2 years. This is how far we have gone. It is when government communicates and explains itself to the people that some people can now start shifting grounds. Because what we have is a problem of extremes. Those who are on the extreme side with government who think that there was ever no need to have dialogue in the first place, but then dialogue came. There are those who feel that it should be outright secession because they should go their separate ways. And some people from that camp have shifted grounds. They have come to federalism. Others will shift grounds depending on how far government shows good faith. And Leo, the problems we have today, the explosions or the fighting and everything, is a manifestation of the constraints in building a nation state. Because at this point, Cameroonians, many people are those who identify themselves with their tribes, their ethnic groups. They feel that, oh, I'm Anglophone, oh, I'm Beti, I'm Northerner and all of that. We don't identify ourselves with the Cameroonian concept, with being Cameroonian. And until when everybody in Cameroon starts thinking Cameroon, that's when we can start having peace, we can start having development. Because with the moment you are appointed minister, the first thing you do is to go do a homecoming to your village. You first go to your village, you meet your people, and you start giving jobs to your village people. Your cook is somebody from your village, your driver is somebody from your village, and you are not thinking Cameroonian, you are not thinking on how you can empower the Cameroonian people. When you are made Minister of Public Works or Minister of Urban Development, the first thing you are looking at is the road in your village. You start looking at the road, even roads that lead to graveyards in this country. We've seen roads like that. Roads that lead to the middle of nowhere. But where the roads are needed, where the important issues are needed, we don't see anything. What accounts for the fact that since independence, Cameroon has been unable to link its economic capital to the political capital by a motorway, a state-of-the-art motorway? We don't have that. To construct a road to the airport from the capital city to the national airport in Yaoundé, a dual carriageway, it is news. That people inaugurate buses and it is news. No, we cannot have that. So the problems of a nation state is what we are facing, and then the problem of modernization. If, for example, government had so tarred the ring road 30 years ago, like President Biya promised that he was going to personally supervise, I'm not sure the military will be having the kind of problems they're having today. Problems of accessibility, problems of manning the terrain. You cannot man the terrain when you don't have roads. How do you move? It is easy to plan IEDs on roads that are not paved, because you can dig and you put anything and you leave. But then when the roads are tarred, it's difficult. When the roads are well paved, it's difficult to have those things planted on well paved roads. So what we have is a problem of modernizing the country. The country concentrated development in the center, and the peripheries are almost abandoned. It is true that the center is not as developed, but it is developed more than the peripheries are developed. And it is in the peripheries that we're having the headache. It is in places like Lansing, or it is in Bambalang or wherever, where to drive from Bamenda to those places at this point in the rainy season is not easy. And if government had taken upon itself a plan to gradually develop the country and open it up, it would have been easier. It was easier for the military to crack down on Kopede route because of the good nature of the roads, accessibility, visibility, than it is for them to handle the situation in the northwest and southwest regions. And Article 8 sub 3 of the Constitution says that the head of state shall guarantee the internal and external security of the country. I'm not sure we are guaranteed of the security in this country. If you go to the northwest or the southwest regions, you don't feel that your security is guaranteed. Okay. And section 9, 1 and 2 says that in the event of a serious threat to territorial security and integrity, or the nation's integrity, the head of state has measures the Constitution says he should take. And up to now, he has not taken those measures. And it is not for me to say them, because the Constitution is there in black and white. People should go and read and see what the head of state, as the guarantor of the security of the country and the integrity of the country, and as a symbol of national unity as enshrined in the Constitution, the things that he should have taken, the measures he should have taken to ensure that every Cameroonian's life is protected.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I just wish to ask why you are no longer inviting the Kangaroo Man. He is one of the co-panelists that says it the way it is. Please always invite him on your platform, especially on issues that have to do with the Anglophone crisis. Special greetings to Apostle Ambe Ngong Menek Nevi, writing from Yaoundé. I just want to use this opportunity to say that the Kangaroo Man belongs to a political party, which is the CRM. The Cameroon Renaissance Party. It is a Cameroon Renaissance Party that sends panelists to us. So they have a decision that they have to take within their party ranks. So it is not for us to decide whether he should come or not. It is an issue that has to do with their party. So many persons have been asking this question. I don't know why the questions are coming up just yesterday and today. But it has to do with his party and not us, please. Okay, somebody's sending me images. I'll explore them later on. Hello, Mr. Liu and co. Good evening and keep doing your thing. Your program is amazing. Tilaris and Professor are on point. Love you guys and stay safe. Marcel Eno, writing from the United States of America. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Patience, watching from Yaoundé. From what I know from the history I have learned is that this conflict is an ideological conflict, and if not taken care of, will continue in the next 10 years and even more. Please, we need to take serious action so that our next generation not suffer this. Okay. Hello, sir. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. Nelson, writing from Dubai, says, hi, Mr. Leo. My media prime should invite Chris Anu or President Sako to your panel. Let them talk the truth to the people of Cameroon. I hope we have a possibility to do that. This one, I seem to believe that for past 4 years, these Samba boys were on training. Now they are on internships dash, and very soon they will engage the real war. If Cameroon government does not do something. Ndumbi Volkas, watching from the Paradise Village in Tinechung, out there in the subdivision. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and greetings to the panelists too. I think the way forward to resolve the crisis is for both parties to swallow their pride and give peace a chance. Ndezi Quinty, writing from Bamenda, greetings to Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa. Okay, good evening. Mr. Leo, I love the topic. I wish the government can take advice from you people. DJ Basil is writing from Germany, good evening to you. DJ Basil, good evening to you all. I'm enjoying the program. May God bless you all. It's George writing from Gabon. Good evening to you, George. Good evening to everyone. We should be optimistic here. Do you, a colleague who is saying arms are coming from Nigeria? Amber boys are fighting and killing the military and collecting arms. What about what happened at Noni? Are those arms also from Nigeria? Innocent military are being killed by Amber boys collect the arms. Okay. Abdullahi is writing from Gaundere. Good evening to you, Abdullahi. Good evening, Mr. Liu and crew. History has proven that armed struggle is never targeted the way it is done in Cameroon. The highest blunder was to find ourselves at this level. We can organize 101 major national dialogue, but if the commanders of these guys are not part, we are wasting precious time for nothing. Okay, Derek Walla is writing from Chang Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa. And we also say that the fact that the regional councils did not take off the way it was expected, the known understanding of what the special status is all about, may have left many people in the dark to be wondering what actually is the way forward.
Yes, Leo, both the government and the Southern Cameroonians are at a crossroad right now. Both of them are feeling the pinch of the crisis. We may pretend that we are fine, we are winning, we are doing this. The government is feeling the pinch of the crisis economically, socially, as well as even human lives are taken away. And the same, the economy of the North and the South has collapsed. Most of our huge businesses, schools, institutions that were operating there, have been transferred this way. And they are operating here, thereby crumbling the economy right there. Teachers and other petty businesses are also facing severe challenges as far as the crisis is concerned. Considering the issue of the special status, we said that if the special status was actually given the attention of a special status, I'm sure even if it did not solve the crisis completely, it would have curbed it at least 70 or 75%. And if at all 75% of the Southern Cameroonian population are appeased, I'm sure the crisis has come to an end. The challenge you have right now, there are a lot of disgruntled people, and the government is increasing the people who are disgruntled because there are persons who were for the special status. Even the special status are not giving their attention, they are also joining the anger. They may be not carrying gun, but they have another way they are revolting against the government.
But that was promised is not coming.
It's not coming. That's why I'm saying that government is supposed to be making more friends than creating enemies. They already have enough enemies in the British Southern Cameroon. Now they are supposed to be making more friends by trying to give probably possible solutions to those who are at the crossroads. There are many Southern Cameroonians who are neither for separation, neither for federation, neither even for decentralization. They just want peace. That means anything you're going to offer right now that will bring peace, because of what the crisis has done to them and their families, they will accept it.
And they are the majority.
And I'm telling you that
majority.
Yes, the silent majority, they are not carrying guns, they are not in any form of state. They want the peace right now, and that peace can come through any panacea the government will give. And the panacea we thought that could actually go a long way to bring peace was this special status. And if this special status was given the attention needed and actually applied as proposed in the sense of a special status, I'm very, very convinced, because if I'm going to sit on this platform in the next 10 years to press on anything, I think we panelists or Cameroonians should press more on the special status. Somehow it might not satisfy everybody, but I can guarantee you a greater population of the English speakers will accept the special status if it is given the proper attention. That is what they need right now. The government should know that this role has been stretched to the extent whereby many people who held certain views in the initial stage have suddenly given up the views, and many are standing at a crossroad whereby they don't belong to any gathering anymore. If you say, okay, where do you belong? What we want now is peace. Where do you belong? Are you a federalist? No. Are you a unitary individual? No. Are you for separation? No. What we want now is peace. Anything you're going to give us. Southern Cameroonians are like a person who is sick right now that will drink even urine or eat excreta to get well, no matter how bad the odor is. The government is supposed to be very technical and swift at this level to take advantage of the moment and profile what may even give them a thirst quencher to the particular crisis, the challenge they are going through right now. So to me, because of where people are found right now, I think the special status would have been the best. Now that even the special status is, first of all, delayed from 1996 till date, now that it has come, the persons they supposedly elected to work under the so-called guys of special status, they are getting frustrated because they have been given responsibilities or offices without any responsibility. They also are in another section. Those are the silent majority whose anger is not in carrying guns, their anger is in their heart. And it is said that when anger is nurtured for too long, in the long run it gives birth to violence. I am very sure that when we are in a state like this, what you should be doing is doing everything possible to bring reconciliation and peace, not to increase or expand the scope or the level of our enemies anymore. The special status stuff that came up and was not given any attention, I mean, they have already created more enemies again as far as president is concerned. So the government should take an advantage at the time where we are right now to see how they can jump in between southern Cameroonians and be able to give them something that will be significant. Because for the fact that human beings have died, properties have gone down, they will not just come with any kind of thing and offer. That should be something that can be as an exchange for the souls and the properties and the houses that have gone down, and the promises that were made that were never fulfilled. Something substantial should be given. Something substantial should be given. It is said that when Germany caused the First World War, they pay reparations. They pay reparations. The reparations was because of the atrocities they committed. I mean, what are the reparations that the government is giving to the people of the southern Cameroons based on the pleas and the cries, in addition to the souls and the properties that they have lost so far as far as the crisis is concerned? The government should not think that they will just go like that and things will go smooth. Something must be like a price to be paid.
Okay, something has to be done. Okay. Good evening, all the panelists. Please, Mr. Tilaris, kindly tell us some of the measures the president can take at this juncture. Some of us cannot lay hands to the Constitution. Greetings to Apostle Valentine Ambe. But can we also understand what the local representatives are doing as we speak, especially in the Northwest region? The region is boiling. We are getting very little from those who are representing, supposedly representing the people.
Mr. Leo, you realize that the land is desolate, and that may give a reason why Bishop Kia had to do his preaching the way he did at the funeral of Honorable Lifaka. I think people have deserted their areas of responsibility, and it is understandable. Why should you risk your life? I mean, people have concentrated their lives. I mean, people are in Yaoundé and they are in Douala, and they are receiving the same allowances they are supposed to receive and receiving the same salaries they are supposed to receive. They are running away from their for their dear life. Who want to risk his life? I mean, for a situation that is out of hand, like what we are having in the Angfon region. So when you go to villages, I mean, like if I take an example for the council in my village, the mayor is out in Bamenda and ruling from Bamenda. I mean, he doesn't have a first-hand information of what is going on back in the village, except maybe he makes a phone call for somebody to tell him that this is what is going on. And it is understandable, because you realize that the Amber Boys, as we call them, suddenly started a fight against all those who are working for the government. Because for them, they want to own the territory. They don't want anybody who is talking in the name of government within their areas. And for that reason, you know, people don't want to risk their life any longer. And let me tell you, Mr. Liu, there is what we call established terrorism. Because the Cameroon government brought us to where we are today. What is happening in government today is also fanning what is happening in the regions. Because most people are concentrating their attention now to after Bia. And that is why there is a lot of infighting, even though it's not overt. There's a lot of infighting in the government. We call that established terrorism, whereby there are two camps in government, and there's each camp fighting to take power. And that is exactly what is going on in Cameroon. And since they are concentrating on what is going to happen after this president, I mean, they fear that what is happening, people dying in the regions and the villages, is not their priority. Their priority is to gain power or to take over power in Yaoundé. And therefore, we are asking that, I mean, we need to actually become that patriotic people that we were. Because we realize that the government went out of reasoning and is thinking that like they will crush, I mean, this crisis the way they did with the UPC, as Apostle Ambe mentioned. You know, during the time of the UPC, communication was not easy. During the time of the UPC, we didn't have the diaspora as we have now. People that you can easily reach onto. You know that this crisis has gone on for long because we have had the diaspora also sponsoring. And we have had leaders who are in the diaspora who give instruction, and the instruction reach the very minute and people carry out actions. So maybe the government is still sleeping on that in 1950. I mean, you know, it's a long time ago. The world has changed, you know. Now information reaches at the click of the mouse, and people have information. And therefore, people are able to encourage these boys in the bushes. People are able to sponsor them. Communication flows very well. Arms, it circulates now very easily from whatever. You know, money, I mean, money transfer is like somebody was caught and he was having millions in his, I mean, his little mobile money account. So the government should understand that it is no more that era where they easily crushed the UPC. Now it is a different era. If they are using the same strategy that they used during that period, 1950, let them know that they have failed and they should re-strategize. Let them get on if they actually want to take hold of the Anglophone region. Because some people are beginning to think that it is maybe it's God ordained now. Now that the government is not able to take control of what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest region. Maybe it is God working that it will happen the way it's going to happen.
No, because God cannot ordain the abduction of priests. God cannot ordain the naming of people. God cannot ordain the killings of
let me tell you that
it cannot be God ordained. Listen, it should be something else.
No, you cannot eat an egg without cracking the omelette without cracking the egg, and that is what is happening. Even in the Bible, people fought wars.
People were maimed. Women were raped. People were slaughtered. And
now you're talking from a humanist point of view.
In the Bible, there's no record of that. That women were raped. They were butchered. People's fingers were cut.
No. The Bible will not go to
priests were kidnapped.
The Bible will not go to explain.
We have an apostle with us. We have an apostle with us.
No.
Is there a record in the Bible?
Listen,
the people who are in pain.
Wars were fought. The fact that wars were fought, we don't need to get into the details of how the wars were fought. That is true.
There was no certificate pain.
Just to let you know that, I mean, the fight for, I mean, to gain power is something that is universal, and it didn't start today. It's something that started very long. And as time passes,
people did not eat themselves.
As time passes, people gain their strategies.
Because we are eating ourselves.
Of course. And what happens in Cameroon may not be the same thing that will happen in Nigeria or in America or in London whatsoever. So know that people develop their own strategies. The strategy in Cameroon may be cannibalistic. Yes, we can condemn that. People, I mean, cutting off people's hands. People,
it is not God ordained. That's what I'm against.
Yeah, well,
say something else, but don't say it is God ordained.
That is your opinion.
It is not God ordained.
I don't think it says it's God ordained. People could start saying.
They start saying God ordained. I don't know. You don't play the devil's advocate. Don't play the devil's advocate. Let me finish my point. I don't miss my way. I don't want to please anybody, whether in Yaoundé, whatever. I don't want to gain anything from anybody in Yaoundé. But what I'm saying, point blank, that people have started saying that it's God ordained, and God ordained means that what they are looking at the finality at the end of what is going to happen. Because some people say that the end justify the means. Although I'm not one of those people who say the end justify the means. Because if at the end of doing something you kill people, and at the end you gain what you wanted to do, it doesn't justify the fact that you kill people. But I'm saying that people are saying that it is God ordained, and I insist, and I'm not pleasing anybody, and I'm saying it again, that tomorrow the Anglophone region perhaps may finally be what the separatists are saying. Tomorrow it will be, they will praise God, and they will offer masses or go to churches and sing praise to God and say they have achieved what they wanted. It will not be wrong for them to do that. Even if they thief, even sometimes thieves, when they want to go and steal, they pray. Okay. So I think we should not play the devil's advocate.
We shouldn't play the devil's advocate. But can we also understand, that there is a growing frustration in the midst of many persons because there are no solutions on site. The talks, we heard of Swiss talks that never materialized. We have heard about Ghana. We heard about the talks with Ayutabe and co, which never came to amounted to anything. We have seen the major national dialogue. Is it also the fact that people are growing frustrated because they are not sure, they are not guaranteed of how next year, the next 2-3 years may look like?
Well, I don't know if people are really fed up because of the uncertainty. But then the government, like I said, the Article 5 sub 2 of the Constitution says that President Biya shall define the policy of the nation. And if the policy of the nation has not been well defined, then it's a problem. when we look at the special status that was arrived at, they said there were going to be a special status and the implementation was going to take the form it has taken. And at this point, apart from the fact that they are not communicating, I think they don't have the resources. Somebody says that the decentralization process entails the transfer of competencies and resources. But what I think is the problem is the transfer of resources, because even Yaoundé itself does not have the competencies. Because if they had the competencies, we would have had things going. The Constitution of 1972, as amended in 1996, said they were going to put in place a Senate, that they were going to put in place regional councils, that they were going to put in place a constitutional council. And it said that these institutions were going to be put in place progressively, and that it takes 20 years for an institution to put in place and there's no building to house it. There is no building to house regional councils, no building of its own to house the constitutional council, no building of its own to house the Senate. It means that we are not planning, we are not futuristic, so we don't have the competencies. If Yaoundé itself does not have the competencies, then it doesn't have to give to the regions. So what the regions need is the money, because this far they have not had even a budget of their own, and they are not communicating, they are not coming out to tell the people that it is true that the special status has taken off, but we don't have money to operate. They should come out, they should be honest. We cannot have leaders who are scared of coming out to speak when things are not moving. And that is the problem we are having in Cameroon, where people purport to represent the masses, but at the same time they cannot speak to the masses. When we have elections in this country, we have CPD and barons who go to the regions, they say President Biya has said this, you should vote, Papa has said you should this, and when you do this there will be development. But then this same President Biya that they always bring messages from during campaigns, the people have said go and tell President Biya that this is the reality on the ground. They cannot speak to President Biya. So which President Biya tells them to come and campaign, and which one is supposed to listen to our grievances? So it means that the people need a way of communicating with their head of state, because the intermediaries, the representatives at the local levels, the parliamentarians and everybody who represent the nation have failed to take the grievances to the next level, to the head of state. And like I said, we have a problem of the manifestation of the constraints of a nation state, where the speaker of the Senate, for example, the president of the Senate, because he comes from the West region, he doesn't feel the pain in the Northwest and Southwest regions. They have not been here. They have not at any point for the Senate to lead a commission to the Northwest or to the Southwest region. The president of the National Assembly, because he comes from the North region, he doesn't feel that he doesn't feel the pain of the people in the Northwest and Southwest region. So it means there is a nation-state problem. People still think about their tribes, they still think about their regions, they still think about where they were born. They don't think about the Cameroon, that if your hand is paining, you should feel the pain. The head should be able to feel the pain that this hand is paining, and look for a solution. Everybody should have been rushing to the Northwest and Southwest regions to see how they can look for solutions to the problems. I did not expect only the Prime Minister, because he's from the Northwest and Southwest, they will send him to go and talk to your brothers. No, we are a family, it is a nation. The nation state, we have to construct it together. And the commissions that we were supposed to have, Leo, it's not a commission for bilingualism or whatever. We needed a commission or some structure to manage the minority problems we have in Cameroon, because some people feel that they are a minority and that there's a plan to erase them from the country, but that is not the case, because as a nation state they are supposed to aggregate all the interests and all the cultures and everything, and see how we can protect minorities, how the Mororos can be protected, how if people from the Northwest and Southwest feel that they are a minority, their culture will be erased. The state should see how they can protect these cultures and prove to the people that as one country, you belong to the country. This is what we are doing to ensure that you are happy. This is what we are doing that this person is happy. So we did not have a bilingualism problem per se. What we have is the protection of minority rights. And if minority rights are not protected, our colonial heritage, because what we have as English and French is a colonial heritage, and this is what we want to protect. The Anglo-Saxon system of governance and everything is a colonial heritage, that a structure should have been there to protect minority rights, the colonial heritage, and the cultural specificities of every part of the country. And if we don't have these structures running, then we are in problems. And the second one is a fairer distribution and even redistribution of the wealth of the country. That we cannot have parts of the country where roads are leading to graveyards, and another part of the country roads cannot lead to market. Roads cannot live from the farms to the market, where the people can have their own daily bread. If we had roads that were leading to the farms in the Northwest and the Southwest regions, people will not have reasons to come and populate Douala or to populate Yaoundé. Because if you are in your farm, you can rush to Douala and buy whatever you want to buy. You can have access to internet. You can have access to portable water to electricity and everything, people will be comfortable at their base, and nobody's going to look at the power in Yaoundé. Because the problems today is that everybody's looking at Yaoundé. Everybody wants to look at Yaoundé, but if Yaoundé can decentralize the resources, most importantly, where at your level as a mayor, you can see to it that the people have water to drink, they have electricity, they have roads, that you can assist them with seedlings, you can assist them in the needs of their community. And you talked about the issue of the dialogue that has failed somehow. And I said Cameroon runs a dualistic structure where there is a government that is housed at the Unity Palace and there's another government that is housed at the Star Building, where all of us understand that the president at the structure house at the Unity Palace is stronger. But then they believe that they have given powers to the prime minister to do this, to do that. But then the prime minister still needs to get to presidency for instructions, for directives, which is not supposed to be the case. If the prime minister engages dialogue, we should allow the dialogue to go to the logical end. If the presidency is engaging dialogue, government should be seen as working together. Dialogue is not supposed to be an event. It was not supposed to be an event that we meet in Yaoundé. We expected it to be a process that if Archbishop Nkeya had met Eric Tato or others in the US for discussions, those discussions should be ongoing. We should be able to know, because the situation, the things we have on the ground is developing. There's need for constant communication. How do we go from here? We've had special status. This is where we are. This is what we are doing. What are you people the right way thinking? It is when we have all these grievances, all these interests put together, that we can start seeing how we can define the policy of the nation. And it is the head of state to define the policy. And how does he define the policy of the nation, leaving behind a portion of the country, whether they are in the diaspora or in the bushes or wherever? Their interests are supposed to be taken into consideration.
Their interests are supposed to be taken into consideration. I'm glad with the debate that's also ongoing amongst you guys on social media. This one's Mirimba. Good evening to you, Michelin Mitch, and to you, Don Pilo, Wesley, Angoni Tiku. Some of you insult us, some of you praise what we do. Yeah, we are just doing our job, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. But most importantly, the fact that you take interest in the work we do, it also encourages us, spurs us, and also moves us to better what we are doing. We are also very encouraged. Now, Apostle Rambe Valentine Angwa, are there people from every indication, if things are getting to another level and we are looking for a way out, are there people on both sides who really would not want to see an end to the ongoing crisis? They would want to always instigate.
Yes, there are many people on both sides who don't want this crisis to end, but I don't think their position and their will is stronger than those who want the crisis to end.
Okay.
The minority are the people who do not want the crisis to end, because it has become a war industry where they are making riches out of it, both from the separatist camp as well as the domain of the government. The truth is, the population that wants peace and serenity within the north and the southwest are plentier than the minority. So I don't want those people who don't want the crisis to end to be a subject of discussion, because they have a very limited capacity and, as a matter of fact, number to suppress the number of people who want peace right now.
Yeah, but on both sides, if you say they have the guns,
yeah, that's what I said. They cannot be compared to those who want the crisis to end. Both from the side of the government and from the side of the separatists. The number of persons who want this crisis to end, I'm telling you, there are people in Akono Linga, there are people in Golomenduka, there are people in Ja Elubo, there are people in Betua Ebolua whose children have been touched as military in this crisis. If you come to the French-speaking region of this country, you ask any francophone from all the other regions whose son or daughter has been killed in this crisis, they will tell you they want immediate peace now. The people who want peace in this country are plenty than those who want this thing to be maintained. So that's why I said the minority cannot overshadow the majority. Then what is the majority doing to make sure they subjugate the minority who wants the crisis to be maintained? That is the challenge we have right now. Because you don't tell me that because a military general is making billions out of the war cannot stop. It can stop. If the masses raise their voice to stop this war, it will stop. If the president wants the war to stop, it will stop. Even from the side of the separatists, there are many southern Cameroonians who have been touched by this war to the extent whereby they want anything for a solution right now, as I talk to you. Now, let me give you a simple example, an analogy of the Biafran crisis. It was Ojukwu who went to the Aboria court in Ghana and refused to reconcile with Gowon. He wanted war. As a matter of fact, the breakaway was a military general, Ojukwu Odumegwu, and Philip Effiong from the south. They took military weapons and faced the government. They fought for some time. Do you know it was the masses who told Ojukwu that if you don't accept this, we are going to die, all of us? Because why? They gave an embargo that protein food should not enter the east of Nigeria. So more persons died through malnutrition than even guns. Now, we are in southern Cameroon. There are a lot of people whose businesses have collapsed. If you go to the business class and you ask their opinion, they will tell you that give us peace now. What is bringing the peace? Give us the peace. They are in between the hammer and the anvil. They are in between the devil and the deep blue sea. They want peace by all costs. It's like somebody who has an abscess on his testicles. Whether you are going to use which means to burst that abscess, he wants that abscess to be burst. There's somebody say, until a mosquito lands on your testes, you will know that it's not only violence that is used to solve problems. Southern Cameroonians are at a position whereby the mosquito has landed on their testicles. They must not use force, because if you use force in killing that mosquito, you will hurt yourself. That is what, and the better time you can ever make proposals to persons is when they are desperate. The government should be sensitive enough that at the level where things are right now, you call a 5-year-old child, a 10-year-old, a teen, a businessman, those who had schools, those who had companies, those who had shops, those who were doing buy and sell them in the market where they can no longer go to their bush market again. If you ask them right now what they want, they will tell you, Pastor, I don't care what they are going to do, let peace return. If you ask that mama that used to get up in her village and go to the farm, harvest plantain and come back, eat in peace, where she cannot even go to her farm anymore to farm. If you ask her, my pikin, mama, what do you want? She say, my son, give me peace. Do you want federalism? No. The message right now in southern Cameroon is not a form of the state. The persons who still believe in the form of the state are those who have the capacity to still sustain themselves. Also, the government is also at a crossroads, because from the statistics we got from GCAM, about 1,800,000,000 has disappeared, beginning from business exchanges, going to taxes and all the bills. There are places in the south where the government does not collect money from Sonel. They don't take money from Snake. Those are huge sums of money they are missing. Also, if you put all these people at this angle, the torture we've been through should be enough at this level right now to look for peace. Peace is what everybody is asking. Let me give you an example from what Dr. Ndimacho said. The approach which the government is using, let me tell them that the approach will fail 100 million times. In the days of apartheid in South Africa, this guy, I've forgotten his name, he left the country and was fighting from outside. He was fighting from outside because he could not face the government in question. And that were the people who gingered the apartheid movement. There are people out of this country, they are not in the bushes, they are not feeling the pains. They are the ones influencing these activities, and the things will constantly continue. So if government approach is to crack down the guys on ground, they are wasting their time. The next thing is that technology has improved. If you think that you are going to dry the supply of food like they did in the east of Nigeria in the 1960s, it's no longer now. We're in an age whereby money is transferred fast in an easy way in the post account. People can easily have money. Arms are transported in a very easy manner. So if we think that the idea of trying to drain those people from any supply will cause them to go down, is a big lie. So let us get to a position to understand that as we are right now, there is no need at talking about government and form of the state, because some people are saying that secession. If you go to southern Cameroon and you ask those who were preaching secession 4 years ago, because of the torture they have gone through, some have shifted to federalism. Others have even accepted the special status. Why not take advantage of the moment? A stitch in time saves 9. Strike the iron when it is hot. It is like the proverbial saying of Lenin, who went to the People's Parliament of Russia and took a hen, plucked off the hair from its body, and then threw the hen. And then now the hen began seeking for help. He said, that is what you do to the enemy. Torture the enemy to an extent whereby anything you give him, he will become very desperate. That is where Cameroonians are right now. They have been tortured in business, tortured in education, tortured in their loved ones, tortured with the feeling of nostalgia from their native land. They don't have access. Let us right now provide a panacea that can be able to even appease them. Because if we are not sensitive enough, we can dance this drama. If in the days of apartheid, from the 1980s, where technology was not even that advanced, it could take that stretch. The Sudanese war, it could take that stretch. The Biafran war from 1967 to 1970, it could take that stretch. You are talking about an advanced technical war, a war of technology. Then you want to handle something that has gone digital with an analog mentality. It's an error.
Okay. Hi, when Jesus Christ
and
left.
To conclude, Mr. Liu, the worst is when external hands begins to support these separatists. We are entering into a more dangerous, what probably has said, than lassos.
Okay, of believers, you people should stop complaining. No, the government or Paul Biya, none of them can be able to resolve this crisis apart from God. Nelson Tume, writing from Adamawa region. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Co. Cameroon has one of the most unproductive Senate and Parliament in the world. The house needs to be cleaned from above. The peace will begin. Thomas is writing from Bunaberi. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the entire panelists of Great Minds with a very interesting topic. My regards to Apostle Valentine. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be back watching your interesting program on my Media Prime. Aiden VF watching from Halifax in Canada. This one says, good evening. Mr. Liu, courage to you all in the studio. Is Elvis Brown rising from Shell New Bell. This one says, hi, Mr. Liu. I'm John. Who are those who voted for Mr. Ayutabe, Mr. Sanko Ikome, and Mr. Yabacho? Nobody will dialogue with them. Okay. Somebody says, Mr. Mbe, no, the majority does not say what you are saying. Somebody is asking, wow, I'm enjoying the program. I'm watching from Bois de Senche. I enjoy your program. Please tell Mr. Tilaris to allow others to talk. I'm sure he's doing that. But somebody is writing here that good evening all panelists. Please, Mr. Tilaris, can you tell us that one I read already, but this one also says good evening, Mr. Liu. Wow, quite excellent analysis there from Mr. Tilaris Atia, and a great combination between him and Apostle Ambi. Where has he been all this while? Okay, greetings to everyone in the studio. I want to appreciate Apostle Ambi for his wonderful contributions. There was a statement he made saying that only the president can end the war. I disagree. I think only the civilians can go out and end the war, not any member of this regime. Okay, Brian Tala writing from Bafia in Yaoundé. Dr. Ndimancho. Now, killings have been ongoing in the northwest and southwest regions of recent. We've heard very little from the international community and human rights organizations. Are they closing their eyes to what is happening?
I think they are not. We have had human rights organizations who have spoken extensively.
In the past, but I'm talking about recent.
Of course, because if they have not spoken now, it's because they have seen that nothing has changed. It's just like the bishops of the Ecclesiastic Province of Bamenda. When this crisis started, they wrote a letter in 2017. And that letter stands. When you go to the bishop today and you ask them, what do they think is the solution that they direct you to the letter they wrote? Because what they wrote remains, and they think that is the solution. They don't have any other thing to change. They have given their own advice and they have stayed aloof. So I think there's a very thing with the international community. You have had people who have come and made research on issues, understand like the issues of the Ngabu issue and all the other issues, and the government indicted them for being complacent to what they are doing over there. So I think the international community and the human rights organizations have given their point of view and have asked and tabled it in front of the government to be able to study and bring solutions to it, because they presume that the government already have the solution to this. It's just that they are flexing Moses. And I don't know with who the government is flexing Moses. So the international community stays and says, this is what we have proposed. If you want to take over our proposals, you take. This is the way to follow. This is actually the proposal and the point that you think, point by point, that you can be able to take and get through this crisis. And unfortunately, they have not been listened to. They have not, I mean, they've given them a deaf ear. And if even at that, they keep on writing reports, even though we think that they are not writing. I think they are writing reports. When you get to the website of all these international organizations who are in Cameroon, Human Rights Watch and all those, we go to their website, you find what they are writing about Cameroon. Even in the US, I mean, people are writing about Cameroon. So I think it's not like they are quiet about what is happening in Cameroon. Now, but the people I think that they are actually quiet about what is happening now is the Anglophone elite. And we understand why the elite has gone quiet. You know, from 2016, 2017, it was like an issue of everybody. Everybody was touched. And the elite, the Anglophone elite, thought maybe these issues were raised and they were genuine, and they thought that they could be able to support the teachers and the lawyers. But immediately, people started going wayward. By going wayward, started kidnapping, burning down schools and all those things. I think the Anglophone elite now looked at it and they decided to withdraw because they thought that people have gone out of the norms of what they were supposed to do. And just to precise here, it is important to also note that people are fighting for the Anglophone cause, but there are people who have infiltrated this fight. We have to also take that into consideration, because it is we now blame it on all Anglophones. They are killing, they are kidnapping. We have had reports even from the West region where there are people live, they are thieves who leave the West region, go to the Northwest and kidnap and bring people to the West region. There was a report on that. So we should also know that people have infiltrated this for different reasons, as I've said. There are people who were, ex-prisoners who at the beginning of this crisis, they broke open the prisons and they came out. I mean, they don't want the crisis to end. There are people who are getting into this extremism and doing this untold things. But because I think that those who are actually for the Anglophone cause and who know that what they are fighting for, they know how to preserve life and they know that life is sacred. I'm a federalist. I can never say that I want this country to separate. No way. But I think that a meaningful Anglophone who knows, and the way we grew up in our own regions, that we know that life is a sacred thing and that you don't have to kill. So we have had people who kill and then they put on social media. I mean, we have to know and separate those who are actually wanting to work well for the Anglophone. Because when you find people like perhaps those who cry that they want development in the Northwest and South region, I don't think that there are people today who will come and start kidnapping people and killing them. So we will have to make a separation of all these things. And I mean, the international community too is as if it is baffled. We have had people who have come to Cameroon. The Secretary General of the UN has been to Cameroon. He came and exchanged gifts to the President of the Republic. Of the Commonwealth, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth was in Cameroon. She came and exchanged gifts. I mean, we have had high-ranking top international organization leaders who have come to Cameroon. And again, even we thought that things were going to calm down. But we have realized that immediately they came and left, things increased progressively and violence actually took a different turn. So we have seen that our problems cannot be solved by those who are over in Europe or America. Our problems have to be solved by us who are here, and you should look at ourselves in the eyes and let the president be able to make a statement and bring this to a desired end. And I say, and to make a statement means that what? He should declare a ceasefire, and that is the limit we are expecting. Then the president said, okay, say this thing should end. And we know that, according to international convention, when one party declares a ceasefire, if you continue doing it, it's the whole world that you are fighting. So we are asking the president to declare a ceasefire, and then we see from where we are going to go from here.
Atset Hilarious, you raised an issue which I was going to ask you. The Northwest region is burning as we're speaking. Bui division is bleeding. We've heard very little from our elites. Are they just helpless, or they no longer know what to say? At least they are the elites. Elite means that you are the representative of the people, or they are giving up their elitist positions or status.
Well, I was about asking you which elite, the ones who have been earmarked for elimination, the ones that have been called blackleg, the ones that people don't want to see. Which elite? because the elite should be the ones that are freely interacting with the people, who can go and get the grievances and channel them to authorities. But then these are people that some people in some quarters have blacklisted. They no longer feel safe. They no longer feel that their voices count. Their voices have been drowned by the threats, by the intimidation, by people who claim to be Democrats, and at the same time they are carrying out dictatorial tendencies. I think that we have to give a break. We have to give a break to ourselves and go back to the drawing board. That the bishops, the priests, and whoever wrote any one piece of document in 2016, 2017, they should go back and ask themselves, is this workable? Is this the path we were charting for ourselves? And if that it is not the case, then we should be able to come out, whether in shame or whatever way, to tell the masses that we thought that this was possible, but as it stands, this is not possible. Let's take this path. We cannot, Rome was not built in a day, and we cannot think that we could get up one morning and have all the problems in the country solved. They cannot be solved in one day. But then, what is the agenda? What is the plan? We should be able to sit back as Anglophones. I think that we should start at our small levels to organize the Anglophone General Conference that Katina Tumi died without organizing. That government should give the green light for Anglophones to sit among themselves and decide what they think is best. For example, government also takes the blame because there's a disarmament center that has been created. We have ex-fighters who are there. We have people like Nambere, who was not only a rank and file, but he was a general. When you meet these people, you should be able to ask them what were their plans. What did they envisage when they were in the bushes? What was the plan for the next 4 or 5 years? Because the way it's going, it means that they had a plan. They said at this stage they were going to do this, they were going to use IEDs, they were going to engage, they were going to do attacks. Generals like Nambere should have had a plan laid out, and government should be able to talk with them. The dialogue should not only be with people in the bushes or separatists. Those who have come out of the bushes, ask them, why did you join? I'm not sure that there are people in the bushes who are fighting, who were joining because they wanted independence, they wanted federalism, or they were not happy with decentralization. They have their own grievances. That government should be able to listen and understand the realities and know what those who are carrying guns in the bushes are in the bushes for. There are those who were in the thrift, loan and thrift fund, what they call Njangi. They collected money and they were unable to pay back. Maybe their businesses did not move, and they got frustrated and they went to the bushes. That okay, since I cannot pay back my loans, let me go to the bushes. There are people who might have started businesses and it failed. They went to the bushes. Those whose maybe benefactors were killed in the course of the war, and they had nowhere else to turn to. They've gone to the bushes. There are people who maybe struggle to go abroad, to fall bush, as they may call it, for greener pastures. They were scammed and they had no escape route. They went to the bushes. So there are also those who were outcasts in the villages, who could not have girlfriends, who could not have prestige in the society, and they were told that they would become generals, and they were deceived, or they were convinced, or whatever, and they went to the bushes to have good meals, to have power, to have prestige, to have women. And if we don't understand the realities of the various components of the persons who are carrying guns, government will not be able to address the situation. Because when you look at it globally, that is, people want to separate the country, then the measures we are going to keep on taking will not be the measures that will appease the country. Let us look at the problems again. Let us go back to the drawing board. In 2016, in 2017, what were the grievances? How far have we gone? How did it develop to this stage? How can we redress our steps and look for a peaceful solution to the crisis? And that is why I think that it should not be a problem that will be left in the hands of one person. Everybody who was involved at the beginning, in whatever way, they should be able to come back. Those who gave convincing reasons why independence was possible, they should be able to look at it at this point and ask themselves, is this the road they wanted to take to the independence? If not, how do we take ourselves out of it? I read an interview of Sisiko Ayuktabe on Jeune Afrique, where he was saying in it that one of the conditions for the war to stop is for President Biya to grant amnesty. What it means is that they still consider themselves Cameroonians, because a president of a foreign country, as the case may be, cannot grant amnesty to citizens of some other country. So it means that if you recognize the authority of the head of state as the guarantor of the independence of the country, and you want him to grant amnesty, it means these people still have the feeling that they are Cameroonians. And if they are Cameroonians, they should be treated like Cameroonians. They should be talked to. There is need for dialogue. We should open up the space. We understood that there was some form of dialogue that they had although the Minister of Communication claimed that it was not consistent with reality, it at least shows that there were steps that have been taken, and those steps should be continued.
Okay.
At the level of the separatists, they should stop destroying initiatives. It is not because Sisiku is having discussions with government that you go on and say he's a black leg, he has taken money, or he does not represent you, because even the German authorities, the British and others are saying that the Swiss talks should continue, that they have given their support for the Swiss talks. We had the British, the UK Minister for Africa, who was here in Cameroon, and his resolve is that the Swiss dialogue, the Swiss initiative should continue. And it cannot continue when people don't want to commit. If government is committing, the separatists at every level should commit. That's why they should meet at their level in the diaspora. The Anglophones should meet, and government should also meet, and we take a common position that during the dialogues or the talks that we mediated or whatever, there can be a common position. It cannot be like at the major national dialogue where people just went there. There was a slogan that came up that special status, and our Anglophone brothers, they said, oh, this is the way. And this point, we have seen them, they are frustrated, they are coming to the press to say, oh, computers are coming in French, oh, there's no money and all of that. This is what they should have foreseen. You don't just go, and the special status was not elaborated at the major national dialogue. It was just a slogan that was given. They should have asked for extra time, that please, no, we need time to elaborate on this document, take it to our people for their consent, and come back. They should have adjourned. There was no emergency in doing recommendations when they had not come back as a people to the group, because the president said there was going to be a dialogue to address Anglophone grievances. But when in Yaoundé, it was populated by people who did not have those grievances.
Okay.
People who thought that there was no grievance. So there's need for another one to have Anglophones present their grievances.
Okay, Ati, good evening to you all. Please, I just wish to say that all these Europeans we're hoping for to come to our rescue, then we'll have field, because these same Europeans are the ones supplying weapons to both parties and will never want it to come to an end. We are the ones who leave our problems, and especially the youths, because the future of this nation belongs to us and only for us, because this current regime has totally failed. We cannot sit and rely on these old people to take us to our early graves. I raise my case. Okay, please, you do have to rest it. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Majority of the people may not want what some of you guys are saying there. Greetings, sir. I love your program. Miriam is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Miriam. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The topic is good. It's only God that can solve the Anglophone crisis. All the churches in Cameroon should fast for seven days. Something good will happen. Mr. Nji is writing from Douala. Yes, Mr. Nji is talking about some aspect I wanted to look at. The church is gone silent. Also, is it because of the violent attack? Anytime you speak, you are either attacked from both sides, or you guys are also re-strategizing?
When you say the church is silent, it's amazing, because the church must not come on the media to make their presence felt.
Okay, you're praying in the
yes,
the synagogue.
Jesus said, you pray in the closet and I will answer you openly. The church will never relent its effort. We teach in church every time that you have to push. Push means pray until something happens. If you have not seen the crisis come to an end, definitely we will not stop praying. But I must make you understand that prayer gives healing, and healing does not most of the times occur instantly. Healing is a process. In 2 Chronicles 7:14, it says, my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face. I will hear their cry and heal the land. Healing is a process. You cannot tell me that from 2016 till now there have not been changes. There have been drastic changes as far as the crisis is concerned. There's a level of healing that has taken place, and the healing is still continuing. We are not going to expect an immediate stop, bam, and then we think that God is not answering. If you compare then till now, there are changes. There were moments where people could not even go to school. Children are not even going to school. There were moments where there were constant chopping off of human hands and cutting their limbs and other parts of their body. We're no longer hearing those things again anymore. Now you realize that the civilian population is not suffering as usual as at first. Now the target is the military as well as the separatists. Those are healings that have taken place. Some other things have also taken place as healings, because businesses have started thriving back in the northwest and the southwest to a greater extent. Places like strategic positions in the north and south, some places are no longer feeling the heat as it was before. So a place like Boya has been calm for some time. Bamenda itself, if you want to check now, most of the crises are taking place like in the hinterlands, like what Atia said, in places that are not developed. People hiding in the bushes, they act. But you don't hear that kind of pressure again in towns like Bamenda. You don't hear pressure again in towns like Limbe and Boya. You even go to some places like Womb, you don't find the pressure again that is there. You go to some places like Kambe, the pressure is no longer there. You discover that constant popping and smoking of guns in the northwest and southwest has come down to a certain level. Places like Moyoka, Ekona, Kumba, Kake, where we have done some documentaries, life is gradually coming back. That's healing. Healing is not a miracle. A miracle is an instant manifestation of the absolute power of God, while healing is a progressive manifestation of God's power. So the prayers of the church has been healing the nation gradually, like what Archbishop Andrew Kia did recently, addressing the politicians as unscrupulous politicians who are scammers, and they sit in places that are not their constituencies, and they are eating money from places that they are not representing. Why the scammers take people's money through the computer, the politicians collect money from their constituencies that they are not attending. That's the church still speaking through a man. The church is not a block of individuals that will be speaking. When one man stands from the church to speak, like I do here always, I'm an apostle of God, I'm speaking on behalf of the church. Archbishop Kia spoke, and other clergies have spoken in the country. George Nko in Kumbu has spoken. So we are still speaking and we are praying. We have not just spoken. Bible say, watch.
Do we understand the constant attacks on the church? We saw how Bishop George Nko was vilified. There is a priest who is kidnapped recently in Mafi.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we understand all these attacks? Or
yes.
It's also part of the tribulation that the Bible says.
You know, the challenge we have in this crisis is that the moment you are trying to be rational, you are considered a blackleg or an enemy. For instance, if I speak for the government now, where they have done well, I'll be considered by some Southern Cameroonians as a blackleg.
They will say you slept with your...
I've eaten. Somebody has written on social media, Apostle Amir has eaten sardine.
Yes, that you slept with your brother's wife.
There was a night I came here, I spoke, and somebody took my image and put it on social media that this is a man that slept with the brother's fiancé. For instance, first and foremost, I don't have any brother who has any fiancé anywhere. That point is out of context. The truth is, we are objective, we are rational. We come here to give practical solutions to the problem because nobody sponsors our coming on television. You don't foil my car, you did not assign me, and you will not tell me what to say on television. I'm a Cameroonian, I'm a man of God, and I'm on a neutral ground. I don't belong to any political party, I don't stand on any ground. I'm here to give the counsel of God. When you hear me speaking, God is passing through my mouth to provide solutions to bring peace, because God is peace. He is the Prince of Peace, and my position in this whole drama is to pass a message of peace. You don't try to cajole me or to woo me. You are not sponsoring me, you don't foil my car, you don't dress me, you don't give me any kobo to come, so you cannot detect what I say. No, I don't need to satisfy you. I should not be fueling fire on one side. If I keep both sides hitting their head, we will never arrive at a particular destination. If you hear my position here, I'm a neutralist, and I speak from an angle that can bring peace in the country. I have spoken for the government. When you people stand and you fight and vilify the church, because the church is standing to speak truth, because the purpose of the church is to speak truth to the society. Truth does not go at your convenience. Truth does not go to satisfy you. Truth comes to correct you. And the church has always been neutral when it comes to crisis. You go to Desmond Tutu in South Africa, he stood his ground and spoke truth. The truth sometimes affects the government. I've spoken things that has costed the government on this platform. They've never intimidated or vilified or humiliated me. I have spoken things that to correct my own brothers from the southern Cameroons. They turn to judge. We don't put all those things into consideration. We are here to speak truth, and the truth remains. So if they are vilifying the church will not stop speaking because somebody is not comfortable. That's the reality. A few of us have stood up to show our face on media and to say what God is saying per time in order to give us solutions to the problem. They should allow us communicate, because the purpose of the church is to intercede and to give the counsel of God. Jesus described in scriptures in the book of Isaiah 9:6, he says he's the Prince of Peace, he's the counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father.
Yep. Atia Tilaris, you are an elder in the Presbyterian Church, or you are what? Member of CMA?
Yes, I'm a Christian of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon.
How do we understand that almost all men of God are considered as having taken money. The moderator is constantly attacked. We saw with the cardinal before he died, he was attacked of having eaten money. We have seen many men of God attacked. Is it not also because they think that they are not doing what is expected of them?
Attacked by who? Attacked by those who are feeding off the crisis. Because you know that when you say something that touches on somebody's livelihood, somebody's source of income, they immediately want to attack you. They want to earmark you for death. Because when anybody talks about peace, it means that the war economy is going to end. And those who are living because of this war economy, they are not happy. That's why when you hear the moderator speak, he talks about peace. The bishops are talking about peace. There's a need for a return to normalcy. They are talking against the maimings, the kidnappings, the abductions, that it is no longer an expression of the grievances. You cannot want to liberate a people, and at the same time you inflict so much pain on the people. And when you talk against these things, you become a blackleg. Journalists are blacklegs. They are kidnapped every day. Priests are kidnapped. Pastors are kidnapped. Churches, we know of churches that have been sealed by separatists because the priests were preaching against the atrocities that are being committed. So it is something that is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate that some people think that the crisis should not end. They think that the grievances should never even be addressed. Because if you ask these people who are putting strong conditions, who call others blacklegs and others, if you ask them what is the problem, or what was the problem in the first place, they cannot explain to you, they cannot articulate the problem to you. All they can tell you is that we meet in Boya. What is in Boya? What is it? Some treasure or gold that somebody has kept in Boya has come and collect? I'm not sure. So we should be looking at the human good. Everybody cannot die for us to have a goal. That goal is not worth it. It's not worth human life. No, there's no endeavor in this world that can be worth somebody's life. So the people should reflect. We should go back to the drawing board. When the bishops were condemning the torture, the excessive use of force by the soldiers, nobody raised an eyebrow. Nobody saw them like people who are taking money. But because they are now turning their attention the other way, people now think that they have taken money. These are the people who wanted to organize the Anglophone General Conference that even government stood against. We had people who said it would be over their dead bodies, and indeed some of them have died. And I think that the dialogue and that meeting of Anglophones to chart a way forward for themselves and the future can now take place. And interestingly, even the special status gives the window for the regional councils, to intertwine or to work together to discuss issues that affect both of them. One or two councils that have issues that affect both of them, they can meet and discuss issues and present their resolutions or recommendations to government for government to take appropriate action. And I think that is not too late. The moment the budget sessions take place, the inaugural budgetary sessions are held, and they can start thinking right. They should think in the direction of how they can, the northwest and southwest regions, the things they have in common, they can protect the culture, the Anglo-Saxon culture, the educational system, the law and common law and everything. They should be able to sit and think how we can protect and also develop the regions. We cannot have regions that are not linked by multiple roads. In the 21st century, Cameroon's capitals should be able to be linked. All the regions should link themselves by good roads. People should have water, people should have light, people should have development, and it should be equitable. You cannot have markets that are constructed where there's no market. Okay. You cannot have a market in Sangmalima. You have a market, everything is Sangmalima. I'm not sure that Cameroon will start and end in Sangmalima. There's need for decentralization.
Dr. Michael and Dimancho, let us look at almost everybody wants peace. Those fighting on both camps, I would say that they want an end to the crisis, but nobody is playing the sacrificial lamb. Can the traditional rulers who have been chastised by the population not say we rather die for the people? We are going to play that role of the sacrificial lamb. If the separatists think that they should kill us, let them kill us. We are going to talk with them. If the military think that they have to kill us, they will kill us. We want to see an end to this.
Yes, before I come to that, just to maybe through a word on the question concerning the issue of the church. I think that sometimes God leaves certain things to happen for a purpose, you know. Okay. Like the psalmist say, for the Lord 1,000 years is like a day. Sometimes we count days, but the Lord has his own plan for whatsoever. We've seen also what happened in South Africa today when South Africans begin to sing their sorrowful songs, and now they are singing, and praising God, and it is something, many of us, we like singing those songs, but we just sing them for singing. But South Africans today, they are praising the glory of God through those sorrowful songs, through what they passed through. After the crisis in Nigeria, the Biafra, and in the Ivory Coast, you see that there was an upsurge of gospel musicians. People now indulge in singing gospel songs. So you think that certain things happen for a purpose, to teach the world that actually peace. Because like Martin Luther King said, if we do not want to build together, we are going to perish together. So I think, that said, you know that the traditional rulers too are a target of most of these people. Why? Because most of them think that the traditional rulers, as they say, have been compromised, and that they have indulged so much into politics. So many of them are not even living in their own condoms or kingdoms or chiefdoms or whatsoever. They are out of the villages, and that is actually what we wanted the federal system for, because we are nostalgic of what used to happen during the federal system, whereby we have what we call the House of Chiefs, because the first respect of every citizen should start from his traditional upsurge. It should start from the root, and your root, you cannot say you cannot leave your own particular village and talk about your root somewhere else. It starts with your your attachment to your tradition. Every human being comes from a particular tradition, which of course, whether you live in Europe or America, you still have that mind of belonging to a particular tradition. And I think that respect starts with the traditional rulers that we have had in our villages, whereby there used to be this assembly. The traditional ruler used to be respected to the letter. Who would tell you? The traditional ruler will call you and you postpone his calling. That never happened. But immediately we started having traditional rulers and I'm blaming our elite because they started this. Because of politics, you go to a traditional palace, you find that there's a picture of this particular party leader that is hanging behind the stool of the traditional leader.
But he's the head of state.
You see, the fact is that people have divergent views, divergent political views. You get into a palace and you see that this person of the CPDM or this person of the SDM, and the photo of it, now they begin to nurse those kind of grudges, and you find that there's this infighting. Politicians come and give the chiefs poison gifts. I call them poison, not the poison in the retail form, but poison because they think that they want to bribe the chiefs to be able to gather their people and they vote for a particular party. So you find that respect has dwindled. That respect has actually died down because people now begin to disrespect the chiefs and the fund, because they feel that the chiefs and the fund, they themselves are belonging to certain parties and are practicing certain things that are out of their norms. So the traditional rulers need to be valorized, and that is why when you see that with the regional councils, that place of the traditional rulers have to come back. But we think that it's relatively late because the traditional rulers that are coming now in the regional councils are now no more coming as we used to have them.
No, my question, Dr. DiMaggio, is that the traditional rulers already know the way the population see them, the perception that the people have about them, but can they not say, we die, we are your fathers? We are moving out of the perception, yes, the thoughts you have about us. What we want to do is we want to meet our children, talk to them. If they want to kill us, let them kill us. After which they would say, we are going to Yaoundé to talk either with the president or whosoever. If they want to kill us, they kill us, because they want to see a definite end to this.
Of course, this is the standard that we're supposed to take. But you understand that you have traditional rulers too who have wives and children and who don't want to have early deaths because they don't want to leave their wives and children widows. And two, because they don't want to hurt somebody. We have had some chiefs or even funds who have died on the way going to Yaoundé for political purposes. We have some chiefs in the Mitaland who died going for political purposes in Yaoundé. Meanwhile, the people were actually dying back. So you realize that people do not want to play the role of pelicans any longer. A pelican is that bird that wounds itself to feed its young. Now people are thinking that they have their own families to guard. They do not more guard the village. They guard their particular families. And that is where the problem is coming from. Because of this issue of, I want to talk about capitalism. Sometimes it's always good to come back to this. That communal life is no more there. Now people are thinking that what they have is theirs. A traditional ruler is not supposed to own something that is particularly his. He's supposed to have something that goes from, one traditional ruler to the other, from generation to generation. But now we have traditional rulers who live in palaces, but they have their homes constructed somewhere else out to the palace. How do you expect this kind of people to die for the people? They think that they should die for their immediate families.
You seemingly are not too comfortable with the position taken by Dr.
Well, yes, he said a couple of things that to me do not make sense. The first one is when he talked about pictures hanging in people's palaces. It's like the national flag flying in the palace. These are state institutions. These are structures under a state, a sovereign state. And
opposition's picture line in the palace is a national.
Article 5, sub 2 of the Constitution says that the head of state is a symbol of national unity. It's a symbol of the nation. So his picture being put in a court or wherever is as a symbol. It's like putting the flag of the country. So it doesn't really affect their religious or their political views, as it may be. And we should not forget that we are playing a lot of hypocrisy out there about the issue of protecting the culture. We abandoned our traditional rulers. In the past, everybody at the end of the month or every harvest, we take food to the palace. We go to the palace and we work on the chief's farm or the traditional ruler's farm. We no longer do it. We have abandoned them to themselves. They are struggling to fend a living. They work. They try to indulge in politics to get money to feed the many wives their parents left for them, the many children their parents left, and their own wives that they are forced to marry. You say tradition says you should have 10 wives. But tradition is not respected when it comes to you taking food to the palace. How many times has Dr. Nzimancho taken food to his phone? How many times has he ensured that his phone eats? And how many of us are doing that? Because when we want them to sit in the palace all day, we should be able to take the responsibility and shoulder their responsibility. When they get sick, can we pay their bills? Can we buy and fuel their cars? Can we send their children to school? Can we renovate the palaces when there's need? Can we pay their utility bills? We don't. So at the end of the day, we are not even protecting any culture. We say we are fighting to protect the Anglo-Saxon tradition. What are we protecting? I saw somebody enter the evil forest in Libya Alem, leave the evil forest, sit on a stool. If you have a problem with the individual who is wearing the crown, don't transfer the problem to the crown. We have seen people desecrate the evil forest, desecrate the royal stool. People call themselves king here and there, and you say the chiefs and this and that. No. We are the ones who have desecrated the last vestiges of the Anglo-Saxon culture. The respect that we used to have for elders, we have lost it. People no longer respect elders. That, oh, I'm General this. Somebody calls you in the night, one small boy, and says, I'm General this, and they want you to be panicking. They take phones, they beat them up, they kidnap them, they kill some, and we say we are protecting which culture? I say no phone should sacrifice their life for anything. No cause is worth somebody's life. We've had traditional rulers who have been killed already, and the crisis has not ended. It is not your own life. It's not your own life. Nobody should play Jesus Christ and sacrifice their lives at this point. The state should take its responsibilities. Article 9 of the Constitution is clear on what President Biya should do at this point, and let us have the peace we need.
Okay. Can this war be won through the guns? And if it cannot, what actually stops us from realizing this as soon as possible and stop wasting lives and property?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, before I answer your question, I will have to clarify some things that Atia has said. Atia keeps quoting the Constitution and articles, I believe he's quoting only the ones that he feels like the state has to respect. The Constitution says the president should declare his assets. He has not done it. If whatever concern, the Constitution of Cameroon is like an octopus that has many heads. That is to say, the government selects the one that pleases them and put them in practice. Then the rest are kept aside. The government is to maintain security in the country, but part of them are the ones influencing the war in the country. That is not the Constitution. The president is supposed to declare his assets and property to the state. He has not. The same nation that declared secretary in 1996, it's after 23 years that they are trying to even introduce it. That's part of the Constitution. That's supposed to be addressed. So what we keep quoting Constitution here is a serious problem. Number two, if the poor are no longer taking food anymore to the funds palace, politics is not the way out. Because politics is a means to serve the people. It's not a means of livelihood. It's because we have seen politics as a business in Cameroon. That's the reason why everybody who has become a politician has turned into a thief.
It's a career.
It is not a profit-making business.
Politics
It
is a career.
it's a career, but not a profit-making career. It is a means to serve the people. That's the reason why money given to parliamentarians as grants to develop communities, they use to build their house, misappropriation of funds. That's the reason why money given to cure people from COVID-19, ministers take it and put it into their account, misappropriation of funds. That's the reason why a minister can steal 93 billion where there are about 120 children in the place of Furawa who are not going to school. There are places who don't have roads, but ministers have money that can tar 20-kilometer roads.
Those are not politicians. They did not stand elections to
They
be
are
ministers.
they are
not politicians.
No,
They are not.
They are politicians.
They are not politicians.
Nothing
Please.
stops a
Somebody
minister
that's
being a
appointed
politician.
tomorrow and they become
Nothing
politicians. No.
stops a minister being a politician.
But they are not appointed because they are politicians.
No, they are
civil servants.
They are.
All the
You
people are civil servants.
They are making
They became
it. We
ministers.
have politicized the civil service in Cameroon. Let us stop playing drama behind. Let us
No,
stop this
these are
drama.
civil servants.
We have politicized the civil service in Cameroon. There is no particular
Yes, someone who is a
politician.
politician.
It's a politician. What are you talking about here?
I'm sure you
Okay.
Atia is giving space.
Atia, you hold on.
Come on to the hold on.
I'm an objective Cameroonian and I will not entertain that here.
Professor Thomas,
I am an objective Cameroonian. I will not entertain that here. That's the truth. I will not.
Professor Elizabeth Kamanjo was in the civil service. She's still in the civil service. And she was in the SDF.
Our funds have disgraced their people.
No, they have
They are
not.
not.
We abandoned
They
them.
have palaces. They don't live in the palaces.
We abandoned
The
them.
fund is supposed to be a neutral person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That is
that's the
neutral.
truth. That neutrality would have let them not have problem with their people or the government. The further the funds are CPDM members. What are you talking about?
Were you feeding them before they joined
Feeding
CPDM?
what?
You take
Feeding
food to the
what?
palace.
Feeding they are fathers in CPDM. But they are fathers in CPDM to be fair.
When they came
The
on
fathers
board,
who left them the throne were not a CPDM party before their fathers left them the throne.
Apostle.
See that one aside. Let me get out the ones. I wanted to clear this atmosphere. Stop dancing this constitution because it's not respected yet.
Are we the lawless country?
It doesn't move water.
It doesnly stand. Give that in. I say keep that story there one side.
Are we the lawless country?
We are in a system where there's no respect for constitution. Keep that one aside. Don't give court article here. There's no respect for the constitution here. Let's keep that one aside. And the force who have sold their conscience in a political party have desecrated their thrones.
Apostle.
Thank you. Back now to your question.
Apostle.
Can gun solve this problem, Mr. Lowe? Discuss that again. Can gun solve this problem? Gun cannot solve this problem. Gun cannot solve the problem. My phone is not a part member and he is fed.
Please.
So
Apostle,
continue.
make a point.
Guns cannot solve the problem. I said once here, I said, the earlier we start telling these people that the approach to solve a genuine cause can make the entire cause wrong. You may have a clean case, but your approach to the case is wrong. If I slap you, Mr. Lowe, I might be right, but the fact that I was the first person that laid hands on you, my approach is wrong. When I'm taken to the police station, why didn't you follow due process in order to approach it? Where we got it wrong is our approach in the crisis. We cannot use gun to solve this problem. It has not worked anywhere. I have studied crisis in the world. All those that pick gun at the end of the day ended with reconciliation. And that reconciliation did not most at times lead to secession.
Okay.
It did not. In very few cases you will find other people finally separated. And that was because some political bigwigs and some great giants were behind the scene, playing the game for things to manifest. Let us come back to a place of dialogue. And this dialogue has to be, we will keep on singing this dialogue stuff till eternity. The government has to convene a dialogue. Has to convene, because even the fact that South Sudan separated from Sudan, there was a need for them to still dialogue. The president of Sudan had, Salva Kiir had to still sit again with the rebel leader for them to deliberate for peace to come. So if at all we are talking about the fighting, we'll fight for how long? Why should we allow people to die on a thing we are still going to dialogue on at the end of the day? Because even if we shoot from now till eternity, we will still one day sit on a table. Then now imagine all the souls, the properties, and all the opportunities that were killed as a result of the constant guns, bombs, and here and there. Let us find a fast way of going back to the table to resolve this crisis once and for all. A child can ask for a car. Even if you don't want to give the child a car, give the child a bike. Let the child refuse a bike so that we will know it was a child who was so greedy to at least have refused the bike.
Okay, special status was given, huh?
What special status?
Mr. Leo, good evening to you all. This is Brandon from Finland. Please tell the panelists that they should stop preaching peace because it will never come, because the law of nature says there can't be any peace without justice. So they should preach justice, the peace will come. Yes, but everybody is talking about justice. Who is really clean? If we were to mete out justice on everybody, will most of us not be in prison or locked up because of one? Almost everybody wants justice. That peace will never be there until there is justice. Then what is the meaning of a compromise, reconciliation, forgiveness, and all of that, if everybody wants justice?
I think if everybody wants justice, then it's a good thing. It means that everybody needs to come to a table. And then we identify where we went wrong to talk about justice. Yes, if it is really a good thing, that we should be talking about justice. And let me say one thing. You know, in Cameroon, just like most African states, politics now is preached from experience and not from book. Yes, like the issue in Cameroon. You will not sit here in Douala and begin to talk about Amphone crisis. You are not going back to that area, northwest and southwest, to come back and then talk about it. You will not sit here and quote anything that is written, where you are not going there to listen to the people and live their experience, to be able to talk from their experience about what is happening. So justice, true. I mean, but the issue is that you should know that some people commit acts because they have been caused to do. There are some people who are victims of circumstances, and that they do things because they have been caused to do that. So we consider that maybe, and I'm sure that even the God who judges people sometimes thinks about that if you sin because somebody else put you at a very, very tight corner. It's just like when we say, if you actually kill somebody in self-defense, it means that actually it is a lesser kind of a sin, or the crime is lesser than you actually deciding to go and kill somebody. So if people are talking about justice, then it means that if everybody has wrong or has done something what is wrong, it means that people know that they can come to the negotiation table and be able to settle out their issues, and then they find a way forward. So justice before peace is actually the watchword.
Okay, justice before peace is the watchword. Good evening, Mr. Kum. We cannot be talking of peace, and our MPs have never spoken about the crisis. We should stop blaming those abroad. We started it. Buinda Pius is writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Mr. Buinda, and to the entire Buinda family. Greetings to you once more again in the studio, Mr. Liu and co. If the president had the powers to stop this war, he would have done so. Okay, Mr. Keep up, Mr. Liu and Apostle Ambe and the panelists in the studio. Good evening to you all in the studio. Well, more grace to you all. Now, how do we have just, I'll take 5 more minutes here. How do we stop the guns from smoking in the northwest and southwest region? What should be the definite?
Well, we should stop just sloganeering. Talking about concepts whose definitions and understanding we don't have. Because when somebody says there's need for justice before peace, I ask myself, what is justice? Justice, when we say justice, means people behave in a way that is fair, equal, and balanced for everyone. And that is what we need. And whether it is peace or justice or whatever, what people want is that there should be fairness, there should be rationality in the distribution of resources in the country. That Sangmalima should not have everything when Bamenda, for example, does not have. That there should be, people should see the fairness in the distribution of everything. That the laws should be respected. When the law empowers the head of state, Article 5 sub 2 of the Constitution, that he shall guarantee the respect of the Constitution, and then there are provisions in the Constitution that are not respected, then he should be responsible, he should take responsibility. That's justice, that's fairness. The justice people are talking about is the one that will come to the table and start counting the corpses. Oh, 10 houses were burnt, you did this, you did this. No. If we start counting the cost, we are not going to get out of these problems. So what I think for now, as for lasting peace, is for us to keep on talking to each other, for us to discuss, to dialogue, to find out the problems. Those who are in the DDR centers, government should approach them and talk to them, find out their grievances. Why did you go to the bushes? What was wrong? When the government understands it and starts looking for solutions to these problems, they should talk to people in the diaspora. Why did you leave your country? Why did you want to take another nationality? Why are you saying that people should be maimed? Why do you think that there's need for people to separate, to go separate ways? Why? When government gets to the bottom of all of this. We have ambassadors in every part of Cameroon, in every part of the world. Cameroon has ambassadors everywhere. The ambassadors in America should get, if the Bishop Kia can no longer be sent again to the US to talk to the separatists there, they can get to the ambassadors, they can get to people in the consular offices of Cameroon. They can engage even Cameroon's friends in the diaspora, diplomats, to talk to those people, understand the problems they have, and for government to see how they can get a compromise solution and bring to the table for dialogue to return. Because, like we said, the guns will not help us. Even if the guns are to keep on smoking for long, at the end of the day, we'll sit at table. And at table, it will be bad for us to keep on counting the lost. So at this point, we should get to dialogue. Everybody should look for a middle ground. Those who are for secession should shift. Those who are for unity and decentralized whatever should shift and look for common ground.
Okay, if you can still remember a story of Moses with the Israelites out of Egypt, God promised to rescue them out of Egypt. It's not because they were very faithful. God wanted to show Pharaoh that man cannot fight God, and also the Israelites who he is. We need fasting and prayers. This is a sign and wonders that the Bible is talking about. We have keep on complaining about the government instead of praying. Prayers are doing wonders. Mr. Liu, we need to be strong enough in our faith. Mr. Nelson is writing from Adamawa. He says, thank you, man of God. It's only the truth that can set us free. God bless you. And Yapu Grace, this one says that, Pastor, only a fool will criticize you. Do not bother about the block-headed people who are accused. Okay. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and the panelists. I pray the government listens to the ideas and proposals given by the panelists. Thanks, Makia, writing from Yaoundé. Apostle Ambe, why is it so difficult to understand that we must shift grounds to have peace? We must make a compromise. We must forgive, and in forgiving, we must not count almost everything.
Let me give you 3 reasons why people hardly shift grounds. Interest. That's the first thing. Once somebody has an interest is making from any particular venture, he will never shift ground. This war, as much as it is costing some people, it is making others rich. COVID-19 came, many have died, others have become billionaires. The American Depression of 1929 came, many died of hunger, money billionaires were born. So in every bad incident, 2 things happen. There are people whose interests are protected, and there are others who are losers.
Okay.
Who are losers. Now, I want us to understand that the reason why some people have maintained their stand is because their interest is protected as far as it is concerned. So I want us to know that interest is the primary reason why people don't shift grounds.
Okay.
Let me end at that level.
Okay. Very briefly, what we out of 1 minute, yeah?
Yes, I was talking about the issue of justice and peace, and I want to give an example. You look at the Ngabo Grosom killing. What happened? Inquiry, first of all, sent, and what happened after inquiry is that the people who were involved were actually punished. That is justice. And then after, peace was sold. And how was peace sold? The people were given little compensation, even though it is not enough. But that is now how peace was sold. So I just want to make a distinction, because someone was talking about how peace and justice can be distinguished.
We are already 10 minutes late. After the program, we want to thank you all for watching the program, and also to you guys who animated this edition of the program. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about how to make money, how to also think better to become better persons, more productive, constructive persons for our respective communities and nation. We want to thank the production team and all of you who took time off to watch the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.